Welcome back to the Bill and Doug Show. National Picks. Doug Lesmerises, along with Bill Landis. Landis, you wore a costume for our Thursday show picking Ohio State. Today, you're Philly Billy. That's what you're dressed as for Halloween.
I only have one costume because the thing I could do, I have these pair of like Paw Patrol sunglasses that my son wears that I could wear and pretend that I'm someone from Paw Patrol, but then I wouldn't be able to see my computer screen.
Oh,
because I'd have to take my glasses off. So I can either be informed or dressed like a police officer dog. Your choice.
Well, it's good you're informed because I can't see the computer screen with my glasses on because these are actually like old prescription glasses that make me kind of look like Paul Feinbaum, but I don't need them anymore. So everything's a little blurry, but I am dressed as Paul Feinbaum, dressed as Buddy the Elf. Greenie, let me tell you, I'm a joyful elf. I Feinbaum it. He's easy to imitate from a look. He's not quite as a distinctive voice as you would think, but also my beard ruins my Paul Feinbaum costume.
It does. But as I told you before we started recording, you got to keep it. So if that's what happens. That's what happens.
Greenie, this is why the SEC should get 8 teams in. Greenie. But I always like being Buddy the Elf, but also that's Christmas time and it is Halloween. So we're going to make our national picks. We're going to pick 6 games. We were each 3-3 last week, which for the season against the spread makes you 31-32, makes me 28-35, holding steady at 7 games under 500. Hopefully a little bit better this week, Bill Landis. And we're going to start with a Friday night game. A game that once upon a time, I was theoretically very excited to attend in person, which is Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels coming north to the Dome to take on the Syracuse Orange. And then we have different jobs. And then both these teams stink. They're both on 4-game losing streaks. One because their quarterback got hurt, and one because they tried to recycle the greatest NFL coach of all time into a college football retread, and it's blown up in their faces 1,000 times over. The Syracuse defense is bad. The North Carolina offense is bad. Syracuse on a 4-game losing streak since beating Clemson. The average score of their 4-game losing streak is 35-13. North Carolina on a 4-game losing streak. Average score of their game is 28-13. But North Carolina almost won last week. They lost in overtime to Virginia. They went for 2. Virginia scored and kicked the extra point in overtime. North Carolina scored and went for 2 and was like a yard short. So credit to Bill Belichick for trying, but I still think they kind of stink, Bill.
I don't think they kind of stink. I think they do stink.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no kind of about it. The unfortunate thing is that Syracuse's defense is quite bad, as you said, and their offense is just unraveled without Steve Angeli, a quarterback, and the season has really gotten away from them. Did you see what Fran Brown said this week about Ricky Collins?
I saw what he just said. Tell me what you're talking about.
Asked about playing 2 quarterbacks this week, or whether or not he was going to roll with Ricky Collins still at starter. He said, "I can't do that no more. I love Ricky, but he had a month straight with me sticking by him. He had a month of running the program. We were 3-1 with Steve Angeli. Under Ricky's time, we went 0-4. You have to open that competition up and make sure you're giving an opportunity for us to go out and win." Whew. That is a heck of a thing to say about your quarterback.
Fran shoots you straight, man. So this was like the offseason for Syracuse. After losing Kyle McCord, they brought in Ricky Collins, who had been sitting as a backup at LSU, was a big-time recruit, but kept having big-time quarterbacks at LSU. And I was like, oh, interesting, like an interesting get by Fran Brown. And then after the spring portal, they were like, you know what? We're not actually, let's go get Steve Angeli, who was the backup at Notre Dame. And then Angeli won the competition and played well in the win over Syracuse, got hurt, the win over Clemson, got hurt late in that game, and it's just fallen apart. Since he became the starter, Ricky Collins, by PFF grades from week 6 on, Ricky Collins is 72 of 76 qualifying quarterbacks. He has thrown 4 touchdown passes and 6 interceptions. He has completed 51% of his passes since taking over as the starter. Now, Gio Lopez, the North Carolina quarterback, is not much better. He's thrown 4 touchdown passes and 5 interceptions this year. Can I tell you my favorite bet? This is not a betting show. My favorite bet of the whole weekend is the under on this game. The total on this is 54.5. During these 2 4-game losing streaks, each of these teams is averaging 13 points a game. Like I can't. I don't think they're going to sniff a combined 54-point total. I think this game is like. I don't think
it's 45.5, not 54.5.
I wonder it was so good, so appetizing.
Yeah, I would have bet the mortgage if it was 54.5. I still like the under at 45.5.
Man, stupid typing things in wrong. By the way, someone also noted that apparently if something is minus 8,000 in betting, it doesn't mean that you bet $8,000 to win $1. As I said the other day, and somebody was like, if you're going to talk about betting, do it the right way. So that actually makes sense that is not right. But it's still overwhelming odds, but it is not quite bet 8,000 to win one. It's not what that means.
Right. It'd be funny if that's what it is. That's all right.
I swear,
you're just like
you didn't tell me I was wrong. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm not.
I was here for the joke. I'm not here for the facts.
No, that's true. I mean, I am Paul Feinbaum dressed as Buddy the Elf. I think we are pretty clearly communicating what people should be here for. Under 45.5, I still think is a good bet. I have North Carolina, as much as I don't want to pick this. North Carolina nearly beat Virginia last year. There's like last week. There's a lot of talk of like, here they come, like we're getting it together. And it's like, I still think they're bad, as you said also. But Syracuse has been a mess. Luke Carney's the backup quarterback who's probably going to play. He's 2 for 3 passing for 10 yards so far this year, although he is a little bit of a run threat. Like they have just fallen off a cliff without Steve Angeli. So I actually think it's a spot for Bill Belichick to get his first ACC win. I have North Carolina 24-16.
I can't do it. I just can't do it.
I respect it. Thank you.
I'm gonna roll. Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Syracuse, and if I lose, I lose. I have Syracuse 24-20.
Okay, I respect it. I'm going to root against myself, but also I'm trying to get to 500 with my picks. So this is a 7:30 game on Friday night. That again, like once upon a time, I probably would have been intrigued to watch it. Syracuse is a 2.5-point home favorite in this game, but I'll probably wind up like hate watching this to see how nuts this can get, because these are 2 programs currently in a very bad spot. I think it's reasonable for Syracuse, given how good last year was in year 1 of Fran Brown, given a quarterback injury. This is the kind of thing that happens. And of course, it's completely unreasonable for North Carolina, who decided to torpedo their entire program by doing this. So are you going to hate watch this? Although you'll be you're not trick-or-treating Friday, you're trick-or-treating on Thursday. So no, you might be trick-or-treating Friday.
We are trick-or-treating Friday. But when we get back home, we'll check it out. Yeah. I hope the defenses get a little loose with it. It's at least high scoring and entertaining, even if it's not particularly good.
Yeah. Okay. 24-20 Syracuse for you, 24-16 North Carolina for me. Next one we're going to do is Vanderbilt at Texas. This is noon on Saturday. Texas is favored at home by 2.5. Steve Sarkisian on Thursday, Texas head coach, said Arch Manning was, quote, making good progress in practice, but he did suffer a concussion last week. I don't know if anyone knows for sure if he's going to play. Arch Manning might have been played his best game of the season when they came back and beat Mississippi State. But after he went out, Matthew Caldwell threw the go-ahead touchdown pass. I'm not sure that I'm super concerned in evaluating this game whether Arch Manning plays or not.
It did not really factor into my decision. I'm curious to see if he plays, and if he does, I want to see him if he can build on what I agree with you was probably the best half of football he's played this year in the second half against Mississippi State. But if the assumption is Arch is just sort of what he's been all year, then I'm not sure there's much of a difference either way with Texas's quarterback play, and that's probably not the thing that would decide it for Texas anyway. But I hope he plays. That was a nasty hit that he took. I was like, you could tell right away that was he got knocked out. And I'm glad that he's back at it so quickly, even if he doesn't play this week.
Yeah, no, good luck to Arch Manning and his health. I actually think it might be good for Texas, though, that we're not talking about sort of fake, is Arch hurt? Nobody can tell. He's grimacing. And we're not just talking about what's up with Arch? What's up with Arch? It's almost like this is a legitimate thing and the backup has to be ready. And when they needed the backup last week, he was ready. And this Texas defense is still pretty good. This is the highest by the Fermo index that we like. This is the highest rated defense that Vanderbilt will have faced. Texas is 9th. They did face Bama, who is 10th. That's the one Vandy lost. They didn't score a ton of points last week against Missouri. I actually would not be, as far as efficient as Vanderbilt's offense has been, I'm kind of expecting the Vanderbilt offense to struggle a little bit in this one. Are you at all, or do you think Diego Pavia and the guys are going to move the ball?
No, I think they're going to struggle a little bit too. It has been a very good offense, right? I want to give credit where it's due, but a lot of that work was done pre-SEC schedule, and it's not been bad against the SEC, but you have seen the efficiency slip some. Even in the LSU game where they ended up putting up 31 points, like it was a struggle at times in that game too. That's a pretty good LSU defense, but this Texas one I think is by far the best one they're going to see, just even from like a talent standpoint. So I'm not expecting Pavia to like kind of keep it rolling. And also like we did a Heisman show, and I think we talked about Pavia a little, or we wrote a Heisman story where we included Pavia in there. Like I don't think the discussion about Diego Pavia and the Heisman is totally unwarranted. But to ask him if he thinks he should win the Heisman Trophy after he throws for 129 yards in a super low scoring game against Missouri is ridiculous. So I'm just done with it. I don't want it to keep happening. So I'm going more vibes and emotions here than I am like technical ball. I hope that Vanderbilt doesn't keep it rolling in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I also put in the cigarette because I feel like I kind of look like down on his luck, Buddy the Elf now.
Yeah.
Like I lost
Buddy
all
the
my
Elf
hair.
Sleeps in a refrigerator box. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't shave. Down to my last cigarette, Buddy the Elf. I have Texas 24-17.
I have Texas 28-14.
If Big Ten fans who want a shot at a fourth Big Ten team should root for Texas, because it's a good spot for Vandy to lose, and I still think Texas is not going to beat Texas A&M, so that would give Texas 3 losses. If Vandy wins this, you're starting to run out of spots for Vanderbilt to lose, and they only have 1 loss. So this would be a I think this is a somewhat significant game. If Vandy wins this, they finish the season with Tennessee. But if Vandy wins this, they are legitimately looking like pretty stinking solid for a playoff spot. Because again, for everything that Texas is not, this would be a road win at Texas. Like I think the committee, Texas is not the number 1 team in the country, but Texas isn't terrible. This would still be like a pretty dang solid road win for the Commodores. So like this is big. This is big for Vandy.
10-2 Vanderbilt with a win at Texas is in. So they play at Texas, they play Auburn, Kentucky, and then as you said, they finish at Tennessee.
Yeah. So like if you're trying to get Vanderbilt out, and they still could lose one of those goofy games in the middle, but it's like get Vanderbilt out. It's like, well, lose to Texas, lose to Tennessee, 3-loss. Vanderbilt's probably not getting in. All right. Next one is Michigan State at Minnesota. This is 3:30 on Saturday. Minnesota at home is favored by 3.5. And I want to talk about Michigan State first, Bill. That's kind of why I put this game in. The picks this week, Jonathan Smith, I think, started to get asked about job security and that kind of thing this week. Overall, in his second year at Michigan State, he's 8-12. He's 3-11 in Big Ten play. Michigan State this year is 0-5 in the Big Ten. They started off 3-0, and now they've lost 5 straight. I don't know. I mean, like it was quite a mess when he got there, and he really had been a pretty darn good coach at Oregon State for the last 3 seasons there. How much does he need to win?
A big time. You can't be worse in year 2 than you were in year 1. And that's kind of what they're trending toward. Especially if you look at the remaining games, they could lose all of them. Minnesota, Penn State, Iowa, Maryland. Can win them too. Like I think could win this week. I think could be down on its luck Penn State after Penn State plays Ohio State and Indiana. I wouldn't pick them to win at Iowa, but could beat Maryland too. I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion, but lose the rest of your games. We'll find out about that job security. I think it's just it was a rebuild, and I think everyone sort of respects that and is aware of it. But you got to show progress in year 2, and they haven't. And the best way, even in kind of a lost season, that Jonathan Smith could have still engendered hope with his fan base would be if Aiden Childs had made a jump, and that doesn't really seem to have happened either. So as Michigan State, the kind of place is going to get rid of a new head coach after 2 years, I don't know. But the coaching carousel is pretty insane right now, and it seems like everyone's trying to get their stuff together. So they could feel some pressure to want to do that if a lot of other guys are going to get locked up this cycle.
A lot of people have theorized that if you're kind of on the border of maybe making a coaching change, now is not the year to do it because there's already so many big time jobs already open. But it's just media members like us being ding dongs and writing and saying things in passing. But now that Brian Kelly's on the market and you're throwing things out there, it's like I've seen people throw out like Brian Kelly and if Michigan State comes open, because Brian Kelly does have successful roots coaching in the state of Michigan. And that I think it would be pretty crazy for Michigan State with where they are, what they're trying to get to. Jonathan Smith, I think, was a pretty smart, a little bit out of the box hire when they made it from Oregon State. And then you've got to give that guy a little bit of time. So I think even if they go 0-9 in the Big Ten, that's more Jonathan Smith opens 2026 on a very hot seat, not Jonathan Smith is actually fired. But you open the door. If you don't win a Big Ten game, you open the door for some boosters getting antsy. And then when there's a guy sitting there, if they're like, we can get Brian Kelly, right? That amplifies things. And it like a win or two would really go a long way towards calming that, because it's still like the Aiden Childs development hasn't fully happened the way I think a lot of people, including you and I, expected. And so I think there's reasonable questions around Michigan State, but I just don't know that Michigan State wants to be in the business of getting rid of a guy like this after 2 seasons.
Yeah, my guess is that they wouldn't either, unless they've just identified as someone they think is like a real slam dunk. And I don't even know who that would be. Just like more of a natural fit for Michigan State in the Big Ten than maybe Jonathan Smith, a West Coast guy, is or will turn out to be. But there's nobody like I know like Brian Kelly got fired and everyone said bring him back to the state of Michigan. It's like I don't think Brian Kelly's the answer for what Michigan State's looking for right now. So I'd imagine he gets another year, and like they can, as much as I said like the season get away from them, they could also win a couple games and get to a bowl game, right? So like it's not lost entirely, but this is a pretty big swing game.
Big pivot game for Michigan State. For Minnesota, after getting its doors blown off at Iowa last week, 41-3, PJ Fleck appropriately upset with that. Quote, that was unacceptable. I never questioned how hard we play and our toughness, but we executed very poorly. When you execute poorly, that comes down to the coaching staff. That comes down to me. They were down 17-0 really quick in that game. Drake Lindsley did not play well. Iowa blitzed them, offense, defense, special teams. But they're 0-3 on the road, and they're 5-0 at home so far this season. Minnesota is, and they are coming back home to lick their wounds. And I do think PJ Fleck is a pretty good coach, and I think there is real talent in spots on that team. The last time they were home, they blitzed Nebraska. It's not a gambling show. Only giving 3.5. I actually like Minnesota bouncing back with purpose kind of a lot here, because I think Minnesota is pretty good. They got killed by Ohio State. They kind of gave that Cal game away, and then Iowa just took them to the cleaners. We get it. But I especially think at home, I expect them to play like a pretty good football team. Darius Taylor left the Iowa game with an injury. His status is uncertain, but they're kind of used to dealing with that with Darius Taylor. I kind of like Minnesota a lot in this one.
I do as well, but I hesitate to say that because of what happened last week when you and I kind of liked Minnesota. Not kind of like, did like Minnesota in that spot, and we were very wrong.
Yeah.
I think very highly of PJ Fleck. I think if you want to compare like these two coaches and where they're at with their teams and just sort of kind of like having their finger on the pulse and getting them turned around, I definitely trust PJ Fleck more to do that than I do Jonathan Smith right now. So I'm going to pick Minnesota at home too. I think fairly comfortably. I guess if the Taylor thing is worth considering, maybe to pick a closer game or a lower scoring game, but I have Minnesota winning 28-17.
Oh, that's a ridiculous pick because I have 27-17.
Nice.
Oh, okay. So Minnesota again, 3.5 point favorite at home. Like not scared of the half point. I think this is like a pretty solid 2-score Minnesota win where they just look like the better team for the entire night. So that's why we picked basically that same score. This one I actually don't care about. And I'm not sure. I didn't want to have us pick Florida, Georgia. It's always kind of like, what two weird SEC games do you want to talk about? Oklahoma at Tennessee, 7:30 Saturday night. Tennessee at home, favored by 3.5. Oklahoma, now in its second year in the SEC, has not scored more than 26 points in any SEC conference game. Tennessee is second in the nation in points per game at 46 points per game. And this year they scored only 20 in a loss to Alabama and has scored at least 34 in every other game. There was a time when people were really liking the combination of the Oklahoma defense and the way John Mateer was playing at quarterback. Then John Mateer got hurt and hasn't been the same. And I'm not so sure about the Oklahoma defense anymore. I don't think Oklahoma has a chance in this.
Oh, interesting. I don't really know how good Tennessee is. Like I think this is the best scoring offense in the SEC against still the best scoring defense in the SEC. Tennessee has 6 wins against teams whose combined records are 18 and 29.
Oh, hold on a second. Are you talking about how mid an SEC team is?
The 3 SEC teams that Tennessee has beaten are a combined 0 and 13 in SEC play. They've just beaten the bottom of the conference. So does that mean they're bad? No. It probably means they shouldn't be ranked as high as they are. But I'm just a little uncertain about them. Like, they haven't really been tested the same way Oklahoma has. I have a lot of questions about Oklahoma's offense, but I'm going to trust Tennessee not being quite as prolific against a good defense. So I'm picking Oklahoma on the road.
Okay. What are you picking?
27-20.
Okay. I'm picking 31-21 Tennessee. I actually think so. Like, again, trying to think of it, if you're a Big Ten fan from a Big Ten perspective, what would you want to have happen here? I actually think the idea of maybe Tennessee emerging as the 10-2 SEC team who's in the playoff battle is like the kind of team, because of what you just said, that a good 10-2 Big Ten team would actually have a good case against. So I'm not necessarily from that standpoint afraid of 10-2 Tennessee. But also, I don't think Oklahoma's gonna. They're both 6-2. No, Tennessee has 1 loss and Oklahoma has 2 losses. Right? That's what we're talking about here so far. Right? That's what we're talking about here.
Tennessee, yes, that sounds right. Yeah.
I don't think Oklahoma's getting out at 10-2. So, like, if they beat Tennessee, I think they'll lose somewhere else along the way just because they're kind of screwy. So I think you could root for Oklahoma, give Tennessee the second loss, and assume that Oklahoma's going to screw it up at some point. But I also, like, I'm not afraid of the Tennessee win here. I don't.
Tennessee is 6-2 and Oklahoma is 6-2. Yes.
Oh, Tennessee, they're both 6-2. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So someone's taking a third loss regardless. Everybody wins.
Tennessee lost to Georgia and Bama.
Oh, everybody wins, because that's everybody wins. Just kick back and root for section. Root for weird, chaotic, unimpressive, close play, and then everybody will win. So we're split on this. That's enough of that talk. By
the way, in the 3 SEC wins they have against 3 terrible SEC teams, Tennessee gave up 34 to Mississippi State and won in overtime, 31 to Arkansas and won by 3, and 34 to Kentucky, who was terrible.
Talk your talk, Bill Landis. Speak your truth. Speak your truth.
But let's put them in the top 20.
Tell the world. Tell the world. Tell the world. Ring the bell. Run through the streets telling everybody how mid Tennessee is. God, I love you, brother. That's some great stuff. USC at Nebraska. Nebraska at home is a 6.5 point underdog at home. 7:30 on Saturday night. This is a big number, and I think it's wrong because almost all these close games in the Big Ten, the home teams won. We talked about the cycle of death where all the home teams won. I'll say it one more time, see if I can remember it, right? USC beat Michigan. Michigan beat Washington. Washington beat Illinois. And Illinois beat USC, right? The home team won all of those games. We just talked about Minnesota, Iowa. The home team won that game. We talked about Minnesota, Nebraska. The home team won that game. Given all of that, why is the home team a 6.5 point underdog in this game?
Because USC's offense is really good. Nebraska's offense is not very good. And Matt Rhule can't beat ranked teams.
What's USC ranked?
23, I think.
Matt Rhule just got a 2-year contract extension on Thursday afternoon. He didn't get a raise, but he got more incentives for making the playoff. You tweeted a thing about when Matt Rhule signed an extension at Baylor and still took the Carolina Panthers head coaching job in January, like 4 months later. Do you actually think that this doesn't mean he's not taking Penn State?
I don't think it means that. No, I think they needed to do something to not have this Nebraska season go off the rails. But I'm not saying he's going to be Penn State's head coach, but I don't think this is something that would keep him from being. It's like a $15 million buyout, which is no small sum of money. Yeah. But I think a place like Penn State could pay it, or they could figure out a way to work it into the deal, maybe, if they really want Matt Rhule. So, yeah, I don't think it's prohibitive if he would want to move.
I think it is prohibitive because I thought it's like this is in response to a specific situation. When Baylor gave him a contract extension, they weren't thinking like, we don't want you to go to the Carolina Panthers. It was like Matt Rhule's a hot coaching commodity. He didn't know what was going to be out there. And he's like, yeah, it's like a decent NFL job. This is Baylor. I think I'll take that. This was like, it feels like a direct response to me that it would be like, just, I think it is. I think it means he's not going to be the Penn State head coach. But we don't have to decide that right now. Do you think it quiets the noise enough to matter? Because we sort of were talking about, hey, Matt Rhule might be the Penn State coach. Hey, Matt Rhule has a podcast. Hey, Matt Rhule's juggling in the streets. And then you go get destroyed at Minnesota. It's like, what's wrong with this guy? And they barely beat Northwestern at home last week. But do you think this focuses Nebraska, the program, the coach, the fan base, in any kind of way that matters for what's going to happen on the football field Saturday night?
Yeah, I think it can. I think it does. It probably eliminates some of the uncertainty that could be distracting. I don't know. Is that the reason the game against Northwestern was close, or was it close just because Nebraska tends to play close games against everybody? I don't know. I don't want to give them too much of an excuse for not winning that game by more than they should have, or for getting their butts kicked by Minnesota in the game before that. But it probably does matter some. I took the perception of stability into consideration when making my pick a little bit.
So did I.
By the way, when Matt Rhule left Baylor to go to the Carolina Panthers, the buyout was $6 million.
Okay.
That was an NFL team paying it, obviously not a college program.
Worth it. Oh, wait, no, it blew up in their face. Sorry. Nebraska. I'm picking Nebraska. I'm picking Nebraska 26-24, and I can see this coming down to the last play of the game and Nebraska kicking a game-winning field goal, just like it came down to USC Illinois, and Illinois kicking a game-winning field goal. USC is 1-2 on the road. They lost to Notre Dame, they lost to Illinois, and it wasn't a close game against Purdue, but they didn't beat them 60-0. And this is one of those where I completely get not trusting Matt Rhule in a game like this, but do you trust Lincoln Riley in a game like this on the road? In a game
that's the thing. You need to decide which trend will be bucked here, because they can't tie. Because I kind of want to pick a tie. Matt Rhule is 2-23 against ranked teams, with the 2 wins coming when he was at Temple. The last one in 2016, he is 0-18 against ranked teams since leaving Temple. Lincoln Riley's 2-5 on the road in the Big Ten since joining the conference last year. So which one of those do you feel a little more comfortable hitching your wagon to?
Ranked teams at all?
At
Matt
all.
Rhule has never beaten a ranked team at Baylor or Nebraska.
No, no.
But
his ranked wins were, he beat East Carolina. And his last game at Temple, I think they beat a ranked Navy team in the American Championship game.
What is happening? What's happening? I didn't know it was that bad. I still don't believe in Lincoln Riley, though.
Pretty bad.
Won't this be the time? Like, oh my God, this extension was so worth it. This is the beginning of the new Matt Rhule era. He's recommitted to Lincoln. Lincoln's recommitted to him. Oh, plus Lincoln Riley's playing in a city that's his name. That can't be good vibes.
No, I am generally in favor of fading the coach who just got an extension, but it's really tough when it's Lincoln Riley. It's tough when it's Lincoln Riley on the other side on the road to the Big Ten. Plus, it could be kind of cold in Lincoln on Saturday night, which I think does not bode well for the California boys. Since I can't pick a tie, I'm going to pick Nebraska to win by 1, 31-30.
I respect it. Okay. Yeah, it's time. Again, also like it's Dylan Raiola can be hard to trust also because he one moment is flipping a behind the back pass to a guy for 17 yards and the next moment is dangling the football out there to get it swatted away for a fumble by any defender who wants to swat it. And it's all the same thing. It all comes from the same place. He lives on the edge, probably in a way that's not good. I think it is a net negative. Yeah. Like the style with which Dylan Raiola plays. I think if he pared it down, did not look like Patrick Mahomes at all, never had that comparison made, and just played ball and threw the football, he'd probably be a better quarterback. But we can't wish that away either. But this is like an opportunity. This is really, and it's like, I don't know that people aren't like, oh, Nebraska in the playoffs. Like they just go like win a game that matters. Try to have a good season. Your coach signed an extension, whatever. Just go win a good football game at home in front of your crowd. Beat USC in a way that mattered. I think this should be, a very good headspace for Nebraska. There's no reason for it not to be. This should be Nebraska celebrating not what it's not what it might not be, celebrating what it is, which is a football team that's played pretty well at times and has an opportunity. So seize the day, Nebraska. Seize the moment. And it's not about playoff discussions. It's about having a great night in Lincoln and beating a ranked team on TV.
I think it'll be an awesome scene. Like I'm pretty fired up to watch the game. Lincoln at night in a game that matters. Coming off of an extension for your coach, people feeling pretty good about the trajectory of the program. Like, yeah, it should be. It's a tough game to win. It's not, it's not a gimme, but there's a chance for this to be like a real celebration of Nebraska football if they can pull it off.
Yeah, I agree. Like, subscribe, tell a friend about the Bill and Doug Show. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed, if you stumbled across this because you just you have your YouTube algorithm is set for elf content and you're like, what is this? Subscribe to this. We talk about college football and we have a good time doing it. We also have a good time talking about rhoback.com, RHOBACK.com. Fall is clearly here. You need a cool thing that reps your team. And the game day collection at rhoback.com has all kinds of stuff, whether it's polos, whether it's hoodies, whether it's quarter zips, like a high quality clothing with like that represents your team, but it's not necessarily overwhelming. Like for Ohio State fans, got like a little Buckeye leaf here or like one stripe. Really cool. I always talk about it as like, get the best piece of clothing that will be part of your team collection. I love to wear my team's clothes. If you get something from rhoback.com, it's going to go right to the top of the list of your favorite stuff, and we'll get you 20% off your first order. BAD20, bad 20, 20% off your first order. Use that code. Rhoback.com. Cincinnati-Utah. This line is trapping me in the same way that the 8.5 or 9.5 point line with Minnesota at Iowa trapped us, Bill, and ate us alive. Cincinnati at Utah. Utah at home is a 10.5 point favorite. Cincinnati, as good as Cincinnati has been, they lost by 3 to Nebraska when they had the ball at the end of the game with a chance to tie or win in the opener. They've won every game since. They are absolutely at the top of the mix in the Big 12 title race. They have a game with BYU in a couple weeks. That they currently are 2 undefeated Big 12 teams. We really liked Utah in the offseason, but Utah's kind of dorked around and lost 2 conference games. Why is this line 10.5 that Cincinnati is getting that many points 10-15 Saturday night at Utah?
Yeah, I don't know. You certainly account for Utah being at home at night and the advantage that is. I don't know, like from a power rating standpoint. Well, I guess I don't do my own power ratings, but I'm surprised that the gap would be that large between these two teams. With how well Cincinnati has played, with how well Brendan Sorsby has played, they're a balanced team. They run it well. The defense is pretty good. But I guess it could be like Cincinnati's rushing defense is sort of like fine, but not great. And Utah obviously runs the ball really well. So that's probably it. Just the thought that Cincinnati's defense to this point has not been tested, and its run defense specifically, like it's going to be tested in this game on the road, and that could make the difference. But I was surprised to see that this was a 10-point spread.
I do think Utah is probably the best team. that Cincinnati has played, but they haven't beaten only cupcakes. They have a nice win at Kansas. Mm-hmm. They beat Iowa State. Now, their last 3 games, Central Florida, Oklahoma State, Baylor, right? Maybe not the same quality. Baylor's okay. As we said, they have BYU at home on the second to last weekend of the regular season on November 22nd. And those teams are at the top of the Big 12 right now. Like, this is a gigantic game, Bill. And Devin Dampier, who has been battling some injury stuff, plans to be back at quarterback for Utah. That is obviously a really big deal. But Brendan Sorsby, as you said, has been awesome this year. He's thrown 20 touchdown passes against 1 interception, completing 65% of his passes. He's thrown for 1,843 yards. He's also run for 425 yards. And even like last time out, like he didn't throw for a ton of yards against Baylor, but then he ran for a bunch. He ran for 85. And then they also have like a 2-headed monster at tailback in Evan Pryor and Tawi Walker. There's a lot. Like, this is, you and I have been having a lot of conversations about Julian Sand, the Ohio State quarterback, in the Heisman race. I think we should start having conversations about Brendan Sorsby, the Cincinnati quarterback, in the Heisman race. If Max Duggan can finish second in the Heisman for TCU a couple years ago, why can't, like, Brendan Sorsby is propelling this for Cincinnati. And we thought the Big 12 was going to have a bunch of good quarterbacks this year, and Brendan Sorsby has played as well as any of them.
If Sorsby goes to Utah and like balls out and Cincinnati wins, I think he will be in the Heisman conversation.
Okay,
I'll be banging that drum. He would need to be, I think. If you look at, like, we were looking up Julian Sainz stuff, just looking at the PFF grades or whatever. A lot of times you're like, oh, Julian Sainz first. Who's second? Oh, it's Brendan Sorsby. Like, he's 6th in the country in passing efficiency, but like under pressure, like overall passing grade and stuff is just he's played really well. Like not prolific.
Good run threat. Such a good run threat too.
He does have games where he doesn't really like put up big passing yard numbers, but he's been efficient the entire year and he runs really well. Yeah. I think like it's a pretty good Utah defense. It's a really good Utah passing defense. Not quite as good against the run. But I think there's a chance here that Sorsby like leads Cincinnati to what would be a gigantic win for that program. Not picking it though.
Utah has 2 losses. Their game with Texas Tech, they scored to make it 13-10 early in the 4th quarter in a game where Utah had trouble scoring. But they finally scored a touchdown to make it 13-10, and they completely fell apart and gave up 3 Texas Tech touchdowns the rest of the game and lost 34-10. But that game was closer than the score would indicate. And then they lost to BYU because Kyle Whittingham just went for it on every 4th down. And if he had kicked a couple field goals, they probably would have won. It was like the success rate. They dominated the success rate against BYU and just gave that game away with Kyle Whittingham. Like, I don't know. That was like an old guy trying to dress like a new kid's clothes. It's like, Kyle Whittingham, just like be who you are. Like, what are you doing? I thought that was so weird.
They turned it over 4 times against Texas Tech and 2 times against BYU. They have 8 turnovers all year, and 6 of them were in their 2 losses.
So this is hard because Cincinnati, I think, deserves. Cincinnati's probably underrated for what they've done. I certainly did not think they would be very good this year. They've been awesome. I did think Utah would be good, and they have a couple screwy losses. So before the season, I definitely thought Utah would be a lot better than Cincinnati, and a 10.5-point line would have made total sense to me. But now I think Cincinnati with only 1 loss is probably disrespected, and Utah with 2 losses is probably maybe a little better than people think. But 10.5's a lot. Isn't 10.5 so many points?
And unless like, Cincinnati's about to become a pumpkin, which I guess is possible, but does feel like a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
This is the game that I am most excited to watch this weekend.
Me too.
Because I am most curious about this matchup. What's the real deal here? And I do think both teams are good. And for that reason, I can't imagine not taking Cincinnati with the points. But this is tough on the road, man. So I am going to have it go down to the stinking wire. Barn burner, Utah 34, Cincinnati 33.
Okay, I think we're of similar minds here. This game is also the reason why I don't want to do a late night post game show, because I want to watch this game.
Oh, that's true.
Just to be transparent. Yeah.
You don't want to talk about Lincoln Riley and Matt Rhule for 90 minutes while Brendan Sorsby and Devin Dampier are bawling out in the background.
No, I do not know. One thing that I find interesting in this game, Cincinnati is 130th in the country with only 61 plays per game, and Utah is 19th in the country with 74 plays per game. So I'm interested to see. Both want to run the ball, but Utah runs the ball and plays tempo. So I'm interested to see like kind of which style might win out there. But I have Utah winning, but I have Cincinnati covering 31-28 in what I really hope is an excellent football game.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're on the same page there. We appreciate you guys being here. Have a happy Halloween. That's come straight from Buddy Feinbaum, your jolly college football elf. Greening. That's why 8 teams from the SEC should get in. Happy trick-or-treating, Bill Landis.
Happy trick-or-treating to you as well. I think we might stop by your house for trick-or-treating too. So
yeah, I'm fired up. Yeah. Please do so. I'm going to be eating chili and handing out candy. I have been debating whether, so we have like stuffed scarecrows that we keep in our garage all year long, and then we put them out on our porch for Halloween. I have been debating whether I should try to dress up like in the clothes of one of the stuffed scarecrows and then sit there and try to be a scarecrow and scare the bejesus out of little kids. But my wife thinks I shouldn't.
Because you're going to be by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little more strange when you're just by yourself. Like if there were other people there, I think it'd be, because it is fun. I've done that before. It's pretty fun. But when you're by yourself, it's a little strange.
I'm an old man eating chili, dressed as a scarecrow to scare 7-year-olds. It's iffy. It's potentially illegal. Like the cops could be called depending on the circumstances. So I probably won't do that. I'll probably just hand out candy like a normal person. But we hope you guys have a great Halloween. We appreciate you guys hanging out and watching the Bill and Doug Show. We do a playoff show on Tuesday nights. We do these national picks on Friday. I do rants on Monday usually that are kind of about national college football. We check in with a lot of Ohio State coverage here, obviously on the Bill and Doug Show, but we're just happy that you guys are along for the ride and you let us hang out with you. So have a great weekend. Enjoy these college football games. We'll catch you soon. For now, he's Bill Landis. I'm Doug Lesmerises, and that was the Bill and Doug Show.